I was just like, God, what is this feeling? Like, why am I feeling so overwhelmed? Hey guys, it's your girl Jennifer Renee, and I'm back with another video. And I know it's probably been like a couple of months as I've been like filming a project, working on so many things. I started a brand agency, so there are just so many moving parts, and I wanted to make sure that I came back and did a video, and I just wanted to go a little bit deeper and share just some of the experiences that I've had just in general, like with, you know, family. I just recently went back to Detroit, and one of the reasons I left Detroit was I needed to grow. You don't really know how great you can become until you remove yourself out of an environment that feels as if it's holding you back. So I knew like I had to move out of the city so that I can have a better view of life. And then coming to Georgia just really made me see the possibilities. And then after that, I moved to LA. I started my acting career there, and now I'm back in Georgia. So I say all that to say, I went home this weekend, and it really made me have PTSD. I mean, sometimes when you go back and a lot of things have not changed, but you have changed so much, it's just like, just different things were triggering. Like within my family, it was just kind of triggering. And so I came back home, right? Like my home in Atlanta, just feeling conflicted. And I was just like, God, what is this feeling? Like, why am I feeling so overwhelmed? Why am I feeling so heavy, but also burdened and sad? And I realized like I've been carrying the weight of the people that I love for so long. I've been carrying the weight. Like, survivor's remorse is real. You know, when you try to get out and try to have a better life for yourself, but sometimes the loved ones that are still there, you still see them going through things and you just want to save them. Like, you just want to jump in and help them and be like, look, it's a great big world out here. I'm telling you, if you just leave, it's like, it's opportunities everywhere. But it takes for that individual to be able to want that for themselves. You know, you can't want it more for someone else than they want it for themselves. So I really just felt like, man, I mean, going back home just feels different, you know, when you've been through a healing journey. And I just was triggered by so many things. And I think it was just like the memories of different things being brought up, like from my childhood, or just certain behaviors that I wasn't around anymore. You know, like I had removed myself from, because I was like, this is toxic, you know? And I don't know if anybody else can like relate to this, but you know, healing is not easy. And no matter how far you think you've come, sometimes just making a trip back home just brings everything back up that you thought you was healed from. You know, you thought like, oh, I'm good, like that don't bother me. But really what it is that you created an environment for yourself that is peaceful. You created an environment for yourself that is non-toxic, and you know, you surround yourself with people that treat you the way that you want to treat yourself, right? So now you've created this world of safety. And when you go back to a space that you weren't necessarily safe in, you have to remind yourself, I'm not that little girl anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you have to remind yourself, like, I'm no longer there. Even though it may take you back and it may feel like you're moving into a space where you may have not been safe. At least for me, it felt like I was moving back into a space that just really was like, ooh, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there, but I love my family though. You know, it's like I love my family and I want to see my family, but like I just don't want to deal with what all comes with that, because I'm trying to live my life in peace. You know, like I'm just trying to truly forget a lot of things from my past. And so I wanted to share this with you guys because I know some people are debating on whether or not they should move out of their environment. You know, it's like, dang, but I'm comfortable here. I have my family here. I have, you know, my surroundings here, a job here, whatever. But sometimes it's doing more damage to you mentally and emotionally to stay in comfortable, familiar spaces than it is to just like take a chance on yourself and move to a better environment. I know you still are gonna have to try to find your bearings, connect with people in adulthood. Like obviously creating friendships are not as easy as they were when you were younger, but it's worth it. Like it's worth it. Now on the other side of that, I will say, you know, moving and being in another state, it does feel like I'm missing that love and sometimes, and I'm missing that family aspect, you know. And so I had to like find that in my friends, and I have extended family here, but it's like it's nothing like your core family. It's nothing like the friends you grew up with and the people who truly know you. But one thing is for sure, and this is what I realized, is that at some point everybody has to find their journey. At some point everybody has to do what's best for them. So even if I stayed back in Detroit, I got friends that left. So the people who I was staying for, they ended up leaving anyway. You just really have to start living your life, giving yourself opportunities and allowing yourself to grow, right? And sometimes the only way you can do that is to challenge yourself, to really get out of your comfort zone. And I know in like my previous videos, I talked about comfort zones, but sometimes that can have such a stronghold over you. You know, just that familiarity. Even in relationships, it's like you can know the relationship is over. You can know that you don't even see yourself with this person, but you're scared to leave because so much about them represents a familiar version of who you are. And if you leave the situation, the unfamiliar is out there. You don't know what's on the other side of that. You got to start over in dating. And that can be very scary. But I think we owe it to ourselves to try. I think we owe it to ourselves to begin to dream bigger and expand our reach, expand our outlook on things. I'm not saying moving is always the cure to everything, because sometimes it's just about staying still and really reflecting on what the true issue is, what the root of the problem is. But then there's other times where you can't sit still in a noisy environment. You can't think in an environment that is causing problems and is problematic for your health, your mental health. It's heavy on your heart. How can you think? How can you work through situations in that type of environment? You need to be able to be in a space where you can be free and fully think about all of your options. Lay it out, write it out, journal. And maybe you have to get away from your house, get away from your spouse, whatever, just so you can go on a drive or go to a coffee shop and just really sit and think, what is the next steps for my life? What do I want my life to look like? What have I always wanted to do that I haven't done yet? Is there a country that you want to go to? Maybe you thought about living in the DR. Maybe you thought about, moving to Ghana for 3 months. Who knows? No matter how crazy or big it might sound, it's a possibility. It really is. And you start to not only live out a life that maybe you thought you couldn't have for yourself, but you then begin to realize how dope you are. Like, to go to another state, to build something, to build community at that, and then thrive. I mean, yeah, that's pretty dope. I think that's pretty dope. So I just want to encourage you guys to just think about ways in which you could potentially be holding yourself back. Trusting yourself can be challenging if you're listening to everybody's voice. Like if my mom's voice means the world to me, anything that she says is going to be in the back of my mind as a deciding factor for the choices that I make. If you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, if their opinions are very valuable to you, you're going to hear those things in the back of your mind. But the voice that you really need to hear is your own. What is it that you really want to do? And not for others, but for yourself. Because that could be the ultimate game changer for your life. Just that one move that you make. You know, that one camera that you pick up and start recording. That one application that you put in. Just that one thing that you've been wanting to do for yourself, but you've been nervous about. So let me give you a little bit of encouragement, as well as let me give you a little bit of sound advice. If there is a space that you currently don't feel safe in, or you feel like the world is kind of heavy on you in the position that you're in right now, just remember that those four walls are just that. They are just four walls. And at any time you want to get out, you can. You can get out your situation. Anytime that you want to get out, you can. But it starts here, right? The captivity starts here. The bondage starts in your mind. So you have to allow your mind to be free. And the more that you begin to tell yourself, I am not stuck. I am not a victim. I don't have to stay in this position. I can have more. I can desire more. I can make the next move that's going to change my life. That is what this video is all about. It's about being real with yourself, assessing where you are, assessing your environment, and saying, is my environment keeping me stuck? And if it is, listen, get out, okay? Get out. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I really appreciate you guys, and I'm going to continue to make videos to just encourage you and to help you reach the best version of yourself. Because listen, it is all in the mind. And so daily we have to work towards just reprogramming and refocusing our mindset on the things that we want for the future version of ourselves. Okay? Because where you are right now is not where you're going to be in 5 years, in 10 years, and just know that. Much love.